Let's take a couple of moments and we are going to check out the audio settings on your Pioneer NEX receiver. Even though your particular receiver may have buttons on the side or across the bottom like this one, the on-screen operation in this demonstration is identical for the following Pioneer NEX models: AVH 4100 NEX, 4200 NEX, and 4201 NEX, AVIC 5100 NEX, 5200 NEX, and 5201 NEX, AVIC 6100 NEX, 6200 NEX, 6201 NEX, AVIC 7100 NEX, 7200 NEX, 7201 NEX, AVIC 8100 NEX, 8200 NEX, and AVIC 8201 NEX. So from any source, and in this case I'm on the AM/FM radio source, we are going to touch the gears up here. And then we want to go to the speaker, which is the audio settings. And we start off with the graphic EQ. Now there is a full graphic EQ video right here. You can check the link above to check out the graphic EQ video and see the whole thing there. We'll go back up. Next up is our fader and balance control. We'll open that, and here we can use the arrows to fade forward or back, and right and left. You can also just drag this around on the screen wherever you want it to go. When you're done making your adjustments to the fade and balance control, we'll go back up. Next up is our mute control, and we'll open that window. And the mute has three different settings. We have attenuate, then there's mute, and there's off. First up is attenuate, and this means that when I get a phone call, or if I get turn-by-turn instruction from the navigation system, the music, whatever source that we're listening to, will attenuate, or the volume will lower to a reasonable level, but it won't completely mute. I like to have my system set to mute, so I want the mute level to completely mute the music or whatever I'm listening to, so I can't hear anything when I'm on a phone call or when I get turn-by-turn instruction from the nav system. You also have the option to switch this off and make it so the music continues to play as it normally would when you're on a phone call or when you are getting turn-by-turn instruction from your nav. For right now, I'm going to set the mute level to mute. Next up is our source level adjuster, but you can see that is grayed out. So if we want to get to the source level adjuster, we have to change the source, because if you'll recall, we were on the AM/FM radio source when we started this video. So I'm just going to hit the home button here, and we'll choose another source. How about USB? And now I'm going to go back to the audio settings. There's audio, and you can see that source level adjuster is now available. So we'll touch source level adjuster, and source level adjuster is an independent volume control for each of the sources, but they are compared to FM. So here's the FM level. Now if when I'm playing back some music from USB number 2 here, if it's quiet as compared to FM, I can make the USB source just a little bit louder. But if it's loud compared to FM, I can make it a little bit quieter. So you have an independent source level adjuster for every source that you listen to. And that would be things like the CD, USB 1, USB 2, SD card, Bluetooth audio. Those things all have an independent source level adjuster if you have to be on that source in order to make an adjustment, and they are all compared to FM. The idea here is when I switch between sources, I shouldn't get a big jump in volume higher or lower when I switch between them. So when you're done making adjustments there, we'll go back up. And next up is our rear speaker output. Right now it is on. We can also choose to switch the rear speaker output off. Now please note, when the rear speaker output is on, I have a fade and balance control. When I switch the rear speaker output off, you see that I only have a balance control now because I switched the rear speakers off. I can't fade front to rear, only right to left. So we'll go back up. Let's scroll along here to our subwoofer control, and you can see subwoofer control is switched off, and if you see down here, subwoofer settings are grayed out. That's because the subwoofer control is switched off. If we switch it on, now the subwoofer settings become available. And also in there, let me switch the subwoofer off one more time. If I open my speaker level, you'll see that I have no settings for subwoofer, no settings for rear speakers. That's because the subwoofer is switched off and the rear speakers are switched off. So let's go fix that. Rear speakers now switched on, subwoofer now switched on. Now let's check out our speaker level. And you see we have access to all of the speaker levels there. And we can make adjustments to each individual speaker as compared to the others. Now this is a very powerful audio adjustment tool that can help steer the audio image, the stereo image, around the vehicle. For best audio quality, I recommend setting each of these at 0 or lower. So if you want to make an adjustment to a speaker to make it a little quieter or a little louder as compared to the others, I recommend starting at 0 and making each of the speakers a little lower, so a -1, -2 as compared to the other speakers for best audio quality. Let's go back up and we'll scroll along here to our crossover settings. Right now our crossover, the high pass filter on the front output is switched off. If we switch the high pass filter on, you see that we have a high pass filter representation here, and we can scroll this along to have the high pass filter crossover set at 50 Hertz. And we have a number of different choices here for the high pass filter. We can also change the slope of the high pass filter from 6 dB per octave to 12, 18 dB per octave, 6, 12, or 18 dB per octave. Now, if I move over here and choose the rear speaker output, you can see the high pass filter is switched off, again, for the rear speaker output, so I can switch it on. This is my adjustment for my rear speaker output. I have it all the way down at 50 Hertz right now, and we'll make that 18 dB per octave. And then we'll go over to the subwoofer output. Since the subwoofer is switched on right now, we have crossover points between 200 Hertz and down to 50, so we'll make this 80 Hertz for right now, and we will make it 12 decibels per octave. We also have the option here to switch the phase of the subwoofer output from normal to reverse phase. Now be sure to try this switch out in your vehicle to see which one sounds the best in your particular vehicle. When you're done making your adjustments there, you can go up. We'll scroll down a little further here. Next up is listening position and time alignment. Let's open the listening position window. So for listening position, this will focus the stereo image to one part of the vehicle. This is selected for the driver's side or the front left. We can also focus the image to both of the front seats, or we can focus the image to the passenger side seat or to all 4 seats in the vehicle. For right now, I'm going to set mine up for the front left because I'm driving the car and I want the image focused for me. We'll go back up. And next up is our time alignment setting. In the car, you have a very unique situation where time alignment, you have some speakers that are very close to you and other speakers that are farther away. So the time alignment settings here, just take a measurement from your ear to the front speaker, from your ear to the back speaker on the driver's side, then from your ear to the front speaker on the passenger side, and from your ear to the rear speaker on the passenger side, and the same thing. Whoops, let's go back there. And we'll do the same measurement out to the subwoofer. Then you can just enter those measurements in inches. For example, 47 inches here, 50, 63, 65, and we'll make this 70 inches out to the subwoofer. Once you've made those calculations and entered your data into the system here, the digital signal processor will make the sound arrive at your ears from all of the speakers at approximately the same time. Once you're done making those adjustments, you can go back up, and we have the auto EQ and time alignment and the auto EQ and time alignment measurement system right here. And for more information about auto EQ, be sure to check out the auto EQ video. When you're done making your adjustments here, you can just hit the X to escape. Let's take a couple of moments and we are going to check out the audio settings on your Pioneer NEX receiver. Even though your particular receiver may have buttons on the side or across the bottom like this one, the on-screen operation in this demonstration is identical for the following Pioneer NEX models: AVH 4100 NEX, 4200 NEX, and 4201 NEX, AVIC 5100 NEX, 5200 NEX, and 5201 NEX, AVIC 6100 NEX, 6200 NEX, 6201 NEX, AVIC 7100 NEX, 7200 NEX, 7201 NEX, AVIC 8100 NEX, 8200 NEX, and AVIC 8201 NEX.